Hi, this video will talk about how to solve a system of two equations and two variables by using the substitution method. Now, whenever I'm going to do a substitution method, it's just like the name implies. I'm going to substitute in for one variable. The first step is to find a variable that's easily isolated. How can we do that? Well, I want to find a variable that's all alone, maybe doesn't have a coefficient out front, such as my y here. Y does have a coefficient of -1, but that's okay. It's going to make it easy to isolate. If I pick like this x, it's going to be a little bit more difficult because I'm going to end up having to divide by 2. We don't mind dividing by -1, so that's probably where I'm going to go. Now I want to isolate the y here. All right. In other words, I'm going to take 2x minus y equals 4, and I want to isolate y. I want to isolate it and make it positive. So in this case, I think my easiest first step is just to add y each side. You could have subtracted 2x, but either way, you should end up with the same thing. So I get 2x equals 4 plus y. And now in order to isolate y completely, I'm going to subtract 4 each side. And I get that y equals 2x minus 4. Now, armed with that information, I can then take this and plug it into the other equation. Don't make the mistake of plugging it back into where you were, or you'll get something that doesn't make sense. Plug it back into the other equation. So wherever I have a y, I'm going to stick this whole thing, okay? So I have a 2 and an x, okay, great. And then I have plus 3, and now there's my y right there. So in place of that y, I'm going to stick in 2x minus 4. And now that should be equal to -4. Now, all I have to do is solve this for x. My first step is going to be to distribute this 3. So I get 2x plus 6x, because 3 times 2x is 6x, minus 12 equals -4. For my next step, I'm going to collect like terms. I've got a 2x and a 6x, so they combine to give me 8x. Minus 12 equals -4. Next, I'm going to add 12 each side. I get 8x equals 8. And for my last step, I'm going to divide each side by 8 and see that x is 1. Now, I'm not done with this problem because I still don't know what y is. I can take this x value and plug it in here and solve for y. I could plug it in here and solve for y. But the easiest thing to do when we're doing the substitution method is to go here where I've already isolated y and simply plug in the x value. So I've got 2 times 1 minus 4 equals y. Simplifying, I get 2 minus 4 equals y, or y equals -2. To express my solution as a point, I would say 1, -2. Again, this method is called substitution because I isolate one of my variables. Remember, isolation means there's no number out front and that it's positive. And once I isolate that variable, I plug it into the other equation for that variable. So I do a substitution. Once I do that, I can solve for one of my variables, plug that variable into the equation, and solve for my other variable. Hope this helps. Let me know if you have questions.